Right. Hello. Welcome to Wednesday. Give everyone a chance to get logged in and join us here. Excellent. I hope everyone's day is going well. Nice to see some familiar faces and some new faces coming on. All right. So why don't I start kicking it off with a little intro while we let everyone get logged in. Thank you for joining us. This is an important topic. Electric bicycles are the fastest growing segment of the bicycle business. And we are keeping an eye on embracing the sale and service of e-bikes because we know they are a profitable aspect to your business. And along with that, keeping an eye, as I said, on the risks associated with that and the ways that we as an industry can bring best practices forward. And that includes today's conversation about e-bike battery recycling. So I'm really excited to welcome our great friends from Call2Recycle and PeopleForBikes to join us today in this roundtable to really discuss and answer any questions that you might have around e-bike battery recycling and how you can get involved and sign up as a collection site. I want to just continue to send a huge amount of thanks to PeopleForBikes and Call2Recycle for this fantastic program that they've brought forward to our industry. Before we start, just a little bit of on the tech side here. We have spotlighted us as the roundtable presenters, but we really want this to be a really interactive conversation. So feel free if you'd like to turn your video on, or you can keep it off if you're more comfortable. You'll see we all have our names, associated with who we are. Feel free to put your name, and if you'd like to put your store into your description too, that just helps us know where you are or just have a little more information about you. If you want to add to the conversation, ask a question, you can use the chat function, or you can use the raise your hand function. We do want to make sure that this is an interactive conversation, so you don't have to save the questions to the end today. If you want to, ask something, feel free to use the chat or raise your hand, and we'll call on you and make sure we get to that right away. So I guess without further ado here, let's kick it off. I want to introduce Ash Lovell, Ph.D., PeopleForBikes Electric Bicycle Policy and Campaign Director. Ash, if you would just tell the audience a little bit more about yourself, your role at PeopleForBikes, and how you came to work with the Call2Recycle to formalize this program.
Of course. Thanks, Heather. Great to be here. Can we hear me okay? Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Okay, good. So yeah, I'm the Electric Bicycle Policy and Campaign Director for PeopleForBikes. This is a newish position. I've been in it for about 1.5 years. And PeopleForBikes created this position because we know that electric bicycles are a huge part of the bicycle industry and something that needs dedicated attention. So I came on, my background is actually climate action, sustainability work. I came on because I'm so excited about the potential for electric bicycles to get more people out of cars and onto bicycles and keep them riding. We've seen the data that shows that that happens. So it's a really great thing to get to advocate for them day in and day out. Coming to PeopleForBikes, I was part of the beginning of this program with Call2Recycle, and I get to work with Maggie very closely. It's a super fun relationship that we get to build this together, which is so exciting. So Heather, if you want, I can kind of go into the history of the program a little bit. Is now a good time?
I love it. I thought I saw a stat that 40 bike industry leaders and 20 PeopleForBike member companies united to design it. Yeah, please do.
Yes. This is the joy of having a trade association, multiple trade associations. We had over 40 different PeopleForBikes members come together and say, hey, we need to create a collaborative solution to this safety and sustainability problem that we're seeing with lithium-ion batteries. So basically, the whole thing got kicked off because few companies thought, okay, we want to really be responsible recycling our batteries. We want to make sure that they're handled safely. We know that there's regulations coming. We'll try and do this ourselves. And it was exorbitantly expensive to try and do that at scale as an individual supplier company. So being able to bring together multiple different member companies through PeopleForBikes, we created the Battery Recycling Task Force out of the Electric Bicycle Subcommittee. And everyone worked together to basically create a solution that works for many, many of our members. And we'd been in talks with Call2Recycle for years before that actually happened, exploring this possibility. And we're just so thrilled that it's actually become a reality and that we're moving through these phases of launching this program and going to the public.
No doubt how wonderful it must have been to see it all come and then actually launch it. Congratulations, Ash. Your energy is so infectious, and yeah, you're awesome. So thanks for your work. Maggie, it was awesome to see you at the Big Gear Show. I saw you out there with the tent talking to all the retailers, answering the questions. Would you like to introduce yourself and your role at Call2Recycle?
Yeah, likewise. Good to see you again, Heather. So my name is Maggie Long. I'm the program coordinator at Call2Recycle, specifically for the e-bike battery recycling program. So that means I'm super lucky and I get to spend all of my time and energy focused specifically on the e-bike program at Call2Recycle. Because we are a very small e-bike team, I have my hands in a little bit of everything. And I think it's helpful for this group to just kind of split what I do and what the program does into 3 different pieces. So we have our manufacturers who are funding the program. We get them signed into the program, onboarded, and then manage their accounts. And then we have our consumers who are looking for collection sites near them to drop their batteries off at. I think we'll go into that a little bit later in the conversation. And then, of course, our retailers, which are you guys, which is really like the cornerstone of the program. It wouldn't be possible without you. So I help you guys get onboarded and trained and solve for any logistical or operational challenges that we may see. I also help support our customer service team. So if you've ever reached out in the past to our program, chances are you've either talked to myself or to Chadiel Diaz, who's incredible. She handles like daily inquiries from e-bike retailers.
Yeah, and before we got on to the live webinar, just so everyone knows, we were chatting and I asked Maggie, how many retailers are signed? Are we still having retailers sign up?
Yes, we are still seeing a steady stream. We're averaging about 50 new accounts per month for e-bike retailers. And we currently have over 1,400 individual bike shops registered into the program as collection sites. So really incredible.
Fantastic. For our retailers and listeners who have joined us today, is anyone participating in the program currently? You can go ahead and say yes out loud or throw it into the chat function, just so we have an idea. Okay, well, there we go. We have some people signed up there. Yeah, awesome. Piccadilly Cycles. Yeah, so consistently we get retailers saying, what's involved? What's the box look like? What's the process look like? What's the training look like? So we really want to use today to answer any questions around that and make sure we're here, we're a resource. If you're already enrolled and you have questions, this is a perfect opportunity to ask. And if you have yet to enroll because you have some questions, here too. So I'm just going to flip it to Maggie and Ash to kind of run through the program in general, and then any questions that come in along the way, we'll stop and answer.
Cool. Yeah, Ash, I can start, and then if you want to fill in some gaps.
Sounds good.
So yeah, we know you all are super busy, so we've been trying our hardest to make this just as easy and as seamless as possible for e-bike retailers to enroll in. So with that, there are a handful of responsibilities that retailers will take on by enrolling as a collection site. And I'll just kind of walk through step by step what the enrollment process looks like. And then Heather will send out written instructions after this as well. So don't worry if you don't catch all of it. So the first thing is to register. You'll visit our e-bike landing page and fill out the registration form. You'll complete a short training. It takes about 20 minutes. And it's really valuable. It covers the safe handling and intake of e-bike batteries, as well as how to correctly package them in the recycling kits that are included in the program. And then also consumers will come to your store location to drop off batteries. So you'll be responsible for intaking them and for correctly packaging them and then sending them with the correct shipper. After that, you can return to the portal at any time during the day to order additional recycling materials and program materials as you need them.
And Maggie, again, said we have over 1,400 shops that are currently signed up. I know this has been a ton of work on Call2Recycle's side. Maggie, the Call2Recycle website is just call2recycle.org, right? For people to start this process.
Or it's best if you go to call2recycle.org/e-bikes. And I think I can put that in the chat as well. We'll also link that when we send it out. That's a really good call out. I'm going to put it in the chat right now.
Excellent. Yeah, so the big points of this program are kind of twofold. One is sustainability, being able to say, okay, we are tackling this issue of lithium-ion battery recycling. We have a comprehensive way to move these batteries back into the system and to reuse these parts and to get them back and continue to use that lithium-ion. That is so important to keep our economy going. And the other part is safety. So really thinking about not just the safety of the owners of the batteries, but the retailers themselves and how you're storing them, how you're packaging them, how you're handling them, charging them, that type of thing. Maggie, can you talk a little bit about the safety training components that are part of this?
Yeah, definitely. So again, upon registration, you'll take a short training. It goes over the different types of batteries, the different recycling kits that are available. 95% of the batteries that we're receiving back for recycling are actually just end of life, meaning they don't hold a charge anymore, they have a reduced charge range, etc. They're not at any immediate risk of a thermal runaway. However, we know sometimes shops may have a battery that has potential risk because it's been severely damaged or it's had water damage or something along those lines. So we do have a specific kit to handle those types of batteries. And the safety training covers exactly how to use that kit, as well as what to do if you suspect you have a battery that's entering into a thermal runaway event. On top of that, to Ash's point, safety and sustainability are like the two top reasons why this program exists. So we also have something that we call the LIBIC, lithium-ion battery incident kit. It is our safety materials that are included in the program to bike shops at no cost. It includes a fire shield blanket, a fire shield pillow, heat-sensitive gloves, and then also goggles. So if you do have to handle a battery that's entering into a thermal runaway, you have these materials available to you. And it's super cool. It mounts straight on the wall, so you can have it in your service department and it'll be super accessible to anyone in your shop.
Maggie, this is so great. It also looks cool. I've seen it multiple times. It's, you know, for safety equipment, it could be worse. I think one also important piece of this is who gets trained. So Maggie, like how many folks do we want to be trained within a certain store?
Yes, thank you for asking that. So upon registration, it's required that one person takes the training. However, we highly encourage you to train as many staff as you feel appropriate at your location to increase program awareness and also just general shop safety. So if your staff's on the floor selling an e-bike to a consumer, they can say, hey, this battery is actually covered under this program, and this is what it is, and this is why it's important. So we make it super easy to add additional contacts for training. Once the first person who registers takes the training, they can go back into their portal and add as many contacts as they would like to get trained.
We always wonder about the added expense or any costs that the retailers might incur. Can you touch on that a little bit?
100%, yes. There is no cost to enroll in the program as a collection site, to receive recycling kits, to receive safety materials, or to ship batteries back for recycling. All of our kits come with prepaid shipping labels. Now, we do know that some manufacturers who are funding into the program may have decided to pass this cost down to their retailers and or down to their consumers. that transaction is strictly between Call2Recycle and the manufacturer. So just want that to be known that that cost is not coming directly from Call2Recycle or from PeopleForBikes, although that may be something that you're seeing. So by enrolling in this program, no payment required to Call2Recycle for any of the materials or for the training.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think another big piece of why we did this program was realizing just how complex the regulations and the handling is of different batteries. So I'll let Maggie go into it a little bit more in a minute, but we are currently seeing multiple different states that are interested in e-bike specific battery recycling regulations. So these things are coming. What we wanted to do was create an industry-wide program that can help address this across the nation. Call2Recycle has done this type of work with multiple different kinds of other batteries for many, many years. So they were the perfect partner for us to look to as PeopleForBikes to kind of help solve this problem. And now that we have this voluntary program going, it's a lot easier to adapt this program to the needs of each different state that's coming out with these regulations than it would be to have to create something new every time there's a new state that says, hey, we want to make sure that these batteries are being responsibly and safely handled. Maggie, what did I miss there?
I mean, yeah, definitely like a big goal of this program was to get ahead of legislation that may come out. And to Ash's point of the history of Call2Recycle, we run a small rechargeable battery program that's also funded by manufacturers. And that program was kind of stood up in the same way as this one, where legislation was coming and the manufacturers wanted to get ahead of it. And that program's been running for about 30 years now. So I think it's safe to say it's been successful, and I think we'll see the same thing with e-bikes moving forward. I do see some questions in the chat. Should we hop in and?
Yeah,
okay.
definitely. So there is a question in the chat. So our last webinar we did on the e-bike best practices was around insurance. And the conversations there was about some difficulties getting insurance, or just stricter guidelines in place for retailers who are working with a lot of e-bikes or having the storage of a lot of batteries. So anything on how this might affect insurance, having these batteries, maybe building up in store before they go back or before they get shipped back, or anything there?
Yeah, I can speak from the Call2Recycle side. I know that my management has been in discussions with a couple of different insurance agencies who do represent a large majority of e-bike shops across the US. And from what we've heard from the underwriters, they actually view this program as a benefit and as something that they're totally on board with, because stores are going to have these e-bike batteries anyways. And by joining, you're signaling that you do care about the safety aspect. You're going to have safety materials on hand. And most importantly, you're going to have an easy solution for shipping these out of your shop as soon as you receive them.
Mm-hmm. How long does it usually take? So say a shop gets a battery and they have one, let's say they get one battery in. How long is that battery usually in the store until it gets shipped out to you?
We recommend shipping the battery out for recycling as soon as you receive it. So okay. For our end of life kit, it does hold up to 4 batteries, up to 3,600 watt hours. However, we don't want you to hold on to that until you have 4 batteries. We would ask that you just send it with a single battery if you don't have any others. And that's strictly from a safety standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the goal is to help retailers who may have been holding on to batteries for a while, just kind of in the back, because what else are you going to do with them? You're not actually allowed to dispose of these batteries in the garbage. There's a lot of regulations around how to properly dispose of these things. You're also not supposed to transport them within your car. There's a lot. I'll let Maggie kind of go into deeper explanations of that. But this is why it's such a great thing to have this program where it's free for you to ship this back to be recycled. You can ship it as often as you want. You don't have to like try and save on shipping by putting everything into one box and holding on to things.
Yeah. Yeah, to follow up on Ash's point about transporting them, there are restrictions about commercial businesses transporting hazardous materials without the proper certification. So if you have been moving e-bike batteries from your store to maybe your local household hazardous waste facility, you may be liable if something were to happen to that battery during transit.
Let's just think about for a second, retailers looking maybe to promote that they're an official recycling center. Are they listed on a map anywhere? Or like, what if there was customers looking for a retailer? Can they capture new customers because they're participating in this?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a public facing locator with an e-bike battery specific filter on it. And I'll send that in the chat in just a moment as well. But that's where all of our collection sites populate and where consumers will go to find a collection site near them. And yeah, Heather, to your point, we do see this as a really good opportunity to drive new traffic to your store and to build relationships with new customers. If you think about someone coming in with an old e-bike battery that they need to dispose of, chances are they have an old e-bike too. So they may be on the market and looking for someone who can help guide them in the right direction of a new e-bike. Yeah.
There's a couple of things that are coming in the chat. So Maggie, you mentioned that there's a couple insurance companies who seem to be a little bit more e-bike friendly. Can you say anyone by name or we can let Kara know off record?
Let's follow up on that one because I actually don't have them just right off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought. And then a really interesting idea here from Tandem EZ. Is it possible that one of these prepaid shipping kits could be part and parcel of every e-bike? You know, I think as we move forward, new things are evolving every day, right? So, but it is important to get, I think, the battery to a shop who has been trained. I think that's an important part of it, correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. We view these batteries going into a shop as the best case scenario, as opposed to training just your everyday e-bike consumer. And that's because you guys are truly the experts in this. You handle these e-bikes on a daily basis. You're more apt to pay attention and to see if you think something's going wrong, etc. So you are the ones who we really trust to take that training, to take that information and use these recycling kits appropriately.
Excellent. I mean, the questions are coming in, so let's keep rolling them if that's okay for you.
Yeah.
A great question here from BFF Bikes. In terms of safety and regulation, how are old batteries different from new batteries that you might be transporting? Is there anything there?
Right. So when a new e-bike battery is going through the transportation network, it's gone through the proper certifications and it hasn't been used in any sense. So with that, it's safer to move to a shop or to a consumer. Once an e-bike battery has been used on an e-bike, it is considered hazmat because we don't know what's happened to that battery in its history. It could have some sort of cell shaken up on the inside, but generally it's just at a higher risk of experiencing some sort of issue.
Yeah. Let's think what else. What about for retailers taking part in the program? Is there anything for inside their store that might be consumer facing materials to let people know we take part in this program, like hang tags or anything like that?
Yeah. Maggie, you go first and then I'll go second.
That's perfect. So yes, we currently we have 3 materials available. We have hang tags that you can hang on your e-bikes that are for sale in your shop. We have stickers, which I think are really fun to cut up and hand out to consumers on e-bike sales. They can slap them on their water bottle. It has a QR code to the locator, so it'll be easily accessible when that time comes. And then we also have safety rack cards, and these cover 6 different e-bike battery safety tips on how to properly care for your e-bike battery to get the most out of it. Moving forward into the end of this year, we are working with PeopleForBikes to launch a consumer-facing campaign, which is very exciting. So more to come on that. And Ash, if you want to jump in there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we had kind of a 3-step process of rolling out this whole program. First, it rolled out to the suppliers, the OEMs who signed on to say, okay, so for every battery sold, this amount of money will be put into this program. And then it rolled out to the retailers, and that's how we have, 1,400 plus retailers as part of this network now, and keeps growing. And then it's rolling out to the public. So we've been talking about this within like Bicycle Retailer and Industry News. We've been talking about it within a few different publications, but we're really going to go big talking to the public within the next few months, trying to align it with the holiday season and hopefully some more e-bike buying. And the idea is kind of multifold. A, we want to get people excited about the sustainability aspects of having an e-bike. Obviously, there's a lot of great things about getting people out of cars onto e-bikes, getting them riding more, all that are decongesting our cities, all these great things. And there's a lot around, there's a lot of conversations happening right now about battery safety, especially in places like New York, where you might have heard about that, and other places. So having the tools and the resources that we have with Call2Recycle already created, and really sharing those and saying, hey, like, look, we're in front of this. We've got a lot of great resources for the public to know how to responsibly charge and store their batteries. And also we have this great program where you can recycle your battery at the end of life is wonderful. So we are leaning into kind of that public facing messaging. The other big piece of why we want to do a big public campaign with lots of media coverage and all of this is because we want to really reward those supplier companies and those retail locations that are part of the program, and make it clear that if you're not part of the program, your battery will not be collected. So this is a question, I think Heather and I were talking about this before we got on. I think this is my 3rd e-bike battery recycling webinar with NBDA. Heather, thank you so much for having me back again. This is a question we've gotten multiple times is, what about those hangers on? What about those brands that aren't participating in the program? Do you as a retailer have to take their battery? No, you don't. And actually you shouldn't, because we really want to cut down on the amount of batteries that are coming in that aren't from these suppliers that have paid into this program. So one other kind of big piece that will be coming to the retailers that are participating in the program is that very clear list of brands that you can point to when you're talking to the customers of like, yes, we recycle these batteries, brands from these batteries from these brands. And then if there's something else outside of that, you don't have to take it. We will be giving you good kind of guidelines on what to say to folks when you aren't going to take that battery, but it's a really important kind of piece of this in order to level the playing field and make sure that those retailers and brands that are participating are being rewarded, and that the public knows like, oh, look, they're leaning into sustainability and they're leaning into safety.
I love to hear about the work that's coming in the future. And I do see this, we're evolving and we're continuing to move forward and bring forward to the retailers and the industry great tools. And I love the idea of supporting the brands who are supporting the program and getting that information out. Just to rewind, like go back to the beginning. So say a retailer signs up for the program. How long does the training take? When do they get the safety kit shipped to them? What's that time frame look like to get going?
Yeah, so the training takes about 20 minutes, depending on how quickly you read. And then there's a 5-question quiz at the end. Once your training is complete, it does normally take an hour for it to sync back to our system. So give it some time before you get that first welcome email with your account number. And once you get that, you can go into your portal and start ordering additional materials. When you complete your training, you will get your first end-of-life recycling kit automatically. And we've actually started sending out what we call a starter bundle. So it's the kit, and we've also been sending out all 3 of the point of sales materials as well. So those will all send automatically. For the damaged defective kit, which is the 16-gallon steel drum, and the so that will not send automatically. You'll want to go into your portal and request that. And the reason for that is we have talked to some shops who have ordered it by mistake and they realized they didn't have space for this. So we don't want to be sending stores anything that gets in their way or that's more of a nuisance to them. For the LIBIC kits, the lithium ion battery incident kits, we have been distributing those on a basis of participation. So the highest participators, the ones who are sending in the most batteries, we sent them LIBICs first. We're now going in order of enrollment. So there was a question in the chat. I haven't gotten my LIBIC yet. It's coming, but if you are currently enrolled and you haven't gotten that email yet, please go ahead and email the e-bike program at call2recycle.org email I put in the chat, and we'll go ahead and just move that along for you so that you can have that.
Excellent, thank you. And I saw you put the link to the locator as well, which I love. Just of interest, is there any data how many people are like looking at that as we see e-bike sales soar? Is this something that consumers are, searching for and looking for?
I know our external relations has pulled some data on that. Last I heard, it was 60,000 searches for the locator last year, like for the calendar year. I don't have any data on this year currently, but if you go into Google and you type anything battery recycling, more chances than not, you're going to see Call2Recycle pop up. So it's definitely one of the higher clicks out there for battery recycling.
Fabulous. There's another chat here asking, how does this program differ from an electric vehicle battery recycling?
Oh.
Anything you know about there?
Well, EV batteries are definitely much larger. So it's completely separate, but they're going to require different packaging, different permits to move those things through the network. And that is something that is being worked on in the background. So I would suggest just looking for more on that in early next year.
Mm-hmm. We were excited as the bicycle industry to launch this program before the electric vehicle industry got their industry-wide program together. So this is the only industry-wide program within the transportation sector at the moment. We hope that there's more. It doesn't have to be a competition. We all want to recycle batteries, but we're the first.
Paving the way. I love it.
1,400 retailers is super impressive. That's awesome. What are your goals, like any expectations of how many retailers you expect to participate and, percentage wise of retailers across the US?
Well, our goal, obviously we'd love to have everyone in, but our goal by the end of this year is to have 1,600 fully trained stores online. As far as the percentage of that compared to all retailers in the US, Ash, I wonder if you have some accurate numbers for that.
I'm going to lobby that over to Heather, who probably has better.
Yeah, I mean, it's still interesting to me. Some retailers have embraced e-bikes. Some retailers are still not selling e-bikes at all in their stores. So I think if we can get, over 50, 60, 70% of retailers on board, that would be awesome. So, third time we're doing this, right, Ash? So we're just going to keep putting the message out there. And, I think regardless if you are selling e-bikes or not, this is something that is important to our sustainability moving forward. So I think we should get everyone on board. But there's all these questions, and that's why having a conversation like this where we can answer them. Like, how much space does a retailer need in their store to dedicate to this? Like, space is prime, right? So Maggie, what's the setup? Like, how much space should a retailer put aside to designate as the battery recycling area?
I mean, I think it depends on the volume of batteries you're seeing, right? Because there can be different setups. Stores with high volume, they're going to want to dedicate a corner to safe battery storage and charging facilities for those batteries. If you're not seeing such a high volume and you're just receiving the occasional from consumer to get out the door for recycling, I think a small corner in your service department where you can hang the LIBIC and have your end of life kit and your damaged defective drum, if you want one, is completely sufficient. It doesn't require anything massive, doesn't require any special materials. Those are all provided in the program.
Yeah, we were out at a retailer visiting the New Wheel in San Francisco, and we had a group of retailers with us, and we walked into his repair department and we see, a couple boxes, like they're full into the battery recycling. And yeah. I feel like when the other retailers saw it firsthand, they were like, oh, this is cool. We could do this. but it's just getting set up, that initial stage to get yourself registered and get set up. What if people have questions? Like, what if a retailer needs to reach out to someone from Call2Recycle? How easy is it to get someone on the phone to answer any questions?
Oh, it's very easy. If you just call our customer service number, which I can also link down here, you'll likely be transferred to someone specifically on the e-bike team to have your needs taken care of as accurately as possible. You can also email that e-bike program at Call2Recycle email address. It's comes directly to me and to Chadiel. So super easy, call or email. We're here for you.
Awesome. And then I think we have a supplier, Tandem Easy, I think is a supplier. He asked a little bit about how a supplier would get going. Do you have a certain team for that? Or what's the best resource for suppliers who want to get involved? Maggie's like,
that's me. You can email that same email address and it'll come to me. The question about the fee, it is based off of sales into the contiguous US market. So it's a per battery fee.
excellent. Excellent. I'm trying to think of what else we didn't cover. Any other questions out there from everyone? There's been some great questions so far. I really love that.
Super awesome.
I mean, Ash, you've done so much in this category. You know, like, why do you think it's important that, you know, like in your words, that retailers get involved and get active in battery recycling?
I think there's a couple of reasons. Great question. I know that when we started this conversation, there was a different kind of environment than we're currently seeing in terms of sales. And we heard from a few retailers, like, we don't need more people in our shops. Like, stop telling us that this is a great way to get people into the shop, because there were a ton of people buying a ton of bikes a year and a half ago during this massive boom that we had. Now things are slightly different. We know the market is cooling a little bit. And I think that this ability to talk about how you are leading on sustainability and safety is something the public is going to respond to. We know that that kind of climate action, sustainability, ability to talk about how your product and your store are leading on this is a really big draw for a lot of folks, particularly in the millennial and Gen Z kind of area. We're also seeing that, you know, we're actually going to do a new e-bike user study next year. We have data from 2018 about like the types of people that were buying e-bikes. That data is so old, it's really not helpful anymore. So we're doing another study in 2023. We know that people are trending younger that are using electric bicycles now. So really getting a better understanding of the customers that are interested in this. I really think that these two narratives, as a millennial that has an e-bike that uses it every day, are really powerful for a lot of people that could potentially be some of your consumers. So being able to say, not just this isn't just a fun product. This isn't just an alternative to your other bicycle. This is a way for you to take climate action. And this is a way for us as the retail location to show that we care about sustainability and safety. I think those are all some really kind of key talking points that will hopefully bring more business in.
Yeah.
And I think the other piece is just, you know, the safety component. Like we've seen in bicycle retailer and industry news and other kind of reports across the country that we do need to be aware that there's a lot of batteries in the system right now, and some of them are safer than others. And this program really helps you as the retailer have all the tools that you need to safely and responsibly handle these batteries so that you don't have to be worried about something happening in your store.
Yeah, that's a big piece for me. I know retailers are always like, oh, I can do my recycling here, or I can take it to, I think I've heard even Best Buy before. But with this, you get the training, you get the kit, and there's peace of mind that comes along with that. So, and there's no fee to the retailer, which is fantastic.
Right.
Maggie, is there any other questions that you hear from retailers a lot that are concerns that we haven't covered today that you might want to just pull up? Not to put you on the spot, but I know you talked to retailers.
No, the questions today have been great. I think one of the biggest questions we get is just about how to get back into your portal to order additional recycling materials. And that's something that is covered in the follow-up that's being sent out. And it's really simple. You just go to the e-bike landing page and log in and then choose what materials you need to be sent to your shop.
Excellent. Yeah, getting additional materials is great. So there, we just got another chat from in the chat over here. Are the companies that are participating those that are UL certified? Is that a requirement? I'm not quite sure.
That's not a requirement, but there are a lot of companies that are participating that are UL certified, whether it's UL 2849 or a component of that, depends on the company, but many of them are UL certified.
Excellent. And then Cisco just asked something we touched upon earlier, by having a recycling center in your store, will that increase your insurance? Maggie, it sounds like there were some favorable companies, but anything you know there about an increase?
I think all companies are different, but I'll just restate what I said earlier. So we've talked to two major insurance companies in the US who work with a large majority of bike retailers, who have told us that their underwriters view this as a positive, and that they don't see any impact on your insurance increasing by joining this program, because you are demonstrating safety, you're taking trainings, you have safety materials on hand for something that's going to be coming into your store anyways.
Right. All right, so we got someone who's gonna sign up. That's excellent. What is the safety suggestion on how to get a used battery to a shop?
Yes, so I think maybe there's just a little confusion there. As a consumer, you can transport that battery wherever you want. It's once that battery enters into a business and is in the hands of business personnel that those hazmat requirements come into play, and they can no longer be transported without proper 49 CFR certification.
Excellent. So the training will really help our retailers to say, like, this battery comes in, maybe it looks like it's been dropped or damaged. The training is going to tell them, like, uh-oh, this is a warning sign, and really go into that, Maggie?
Yes, 100%. It will cover all of the signs of a potential thermal runaway and what to do if any of those become imminent.
Excellent. Excellent. Any other questions? This has been fantastic. Maggie, you were just like a wealth of knowledge. You're just taking anything that comes at you over there. I know.
She's a boss. She's a boss. I think one other thing to note is that there have been conversations about retailers and others saying, oh, well, I'll just take this battery to Home Depot and they will dispose of it for us. Maggie, do you want to talk about what's happening with that option?
Yes, I would love to. So if you go on our locator and you do not select e-bikes, you will see Home Depot and Lowe's and some other bigger box retailers as recycling options. Those are for our traditional program, which is for batteries that are under 300 watt hours and are not propulsion batteries. So obviously e-bikes cannot go into those recycling boxes. They should absolutely not be dropped off at those storefronts, because those employees are not trained on how to handle these. And by just leaving them there, you're posing a huge risk to the people and the property around it. So we've actually, our external relations department has recently sent out some new signage and some new communication pieces to all of our Home Depots and Lowe's, et cetera, collection centers that say no e-bike batteries are allowed to be dropped off here. So please do not do that.
Wow, excellent. What's the future? What's happening? Like anything for 2023? Just continue to add retailers, continue to bring forward public-facing materials. Anything else that we should know about?
I think, well, just from the Call2Recycle side, we're always looking to make improvements. For those of you who don't know, this is a super new program. It just launched in March of this year. So always making fine tweaks to our portal and our technology to make it more seamless for you all, as well as evolving the products that are available in the program. The damaged defective kit's a really good example of that. We know because it's kind of big, it's not the most elegant thing to have in your stores. So we're always looking to evolve that. And we're currently looking to evolve that into something a little more manageable and easier to move throughout your shop.
Excellent. And Ash, from the People for Bikes side.
I mean, more butts on bikes more often. That's the real goal all the time. Yeah, no, I think as the trade association for the suppliers, we can do a lot to support responsible battery recycling, whether it's in the regulatory space, in the legislative space, with our supplier members. We're going to go big on talking about this program, and we're not going to stop. This is a big deal. And we want this program to be successful, so we need to continue to get the public excited about this. It's going to take a while for people to really know that this is an option for them. So you'll continue to see a lot of press and a lot of communication coming from People for Bikes about this program. And we're also looking at, like, what's the next big sustainability safety initiative that we should go for. E-bikes are so popular, and we really need to put our big kid pants on and figure out, like, okay, how do we wrangle this really exciting but also very new piece of the bicycle industry. So lots of work. I'm not going to be bored.
You're not. It's been fabulous to watch the work that both of you have been doing, and to make it easy for retailers to participate in the program. And as Maggie was saying, you are evolving, and I'm seeing that and I'm hearing that. So kudos to you, job well done. Thank you everyone for showing up today, asking some great questions. I hope you did enjoy the roundtable format instead of the PowerPoint share. We wanted to really make it really welcoming and make sure we had a chance to connect with everyone on the call. We did put a lot of links in the chat. When I say we, Maggie did. Thanks, Maggie. So if you have any questions, please reach out directly and let us just help you even more. We'll have a video recording of this available. You can share with your staff if you'd like to. Thanks for all the cool chat comments. You guys are awesome too. Have a great afternoon, Maggie, Ash. Thank you again for your support of retailers at large, the NBDA in the industry. And with this, yeah, we'll wrap it up. I hope everyone has a nice afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Take care.